Good morning. You're welcome to another edition of Import Export Platform, Facebook Live from 3 Impest Trade Academy. My name is Dele Ayemibo, and we are starting a new subtopic under the what, the why, and how to export to Nigeria today. And we are discussing understanding Nigeria trade environment. Understanding Nigeria trade environment. Understanding Nigeria trade environment. Now, what is the environment in trade? When you talk about environment in trade, you're talking about the operators in the environment. I'm talking about all the people within the environment that if I'm importing, who am I going to interface with? Who am I going to talk to? Who is going to handle my transaction? Is there any permit? Is there any form to be filled? Who am I submitting it to? Who am I picking it up from? Basically talking about all the processes involved in import trade, generally on trade environment. It's very important you understand the trade environment, because in understanding the trade environment, it becomes a lot easier for you to mitigate the risk. To mitigate the risk that you are likely going to face. To mitigate the risk that you are likely going to face in the course of doing the business. To mitigate the risk that you are likely going to face in the course of doing the business. Remember, we are discussing the what, the why, and how. The what, the why, and how. The what, the why, and how to export to Nigeria. The what, the why, and how to export to Nigeria. Import process in the world and that of Nigeria. And you will notice that the import process of most countries is very simple, but Nigeria is not very simple. Nigeria has a twist to it. It's longer, more complicated and convoluted, simply because of corruption, and in the bid to fix the corruption issue, what happened? So many documentation are coming in, and that is making the import process in Nigeria complicated and convoluted. That is making the import process in Nigeria complicated and convoluted. Complicated in the sense that at the end of the day, what do we see? We see a situation where there are more documentation requirements for shipment into Nigeria vis-a-vis other countries of the world. Vis-a-vis other countries of the world. Let me give you an example. In the trade environment of Nigeria, you have, just like many other countries, the Nigeria Customs Service. That, for me, is normal for most countries of the world. But I'm not sure how much central bank involvement is for most countries of the world in importation. So in Nigeria, we have the Central Bank of Nigeria. We have the Nigeria Customs Service. We have the Federal Ministry of Finance. We have the Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment. We have the regulatory agencies regulating products that require one level of licensing or the other. NAFDAC, SON, DPR, NERC. You have the NDLEA, SSS, MPF. NDLEA, SSS, MPF. You have MPA and NIMASA. MPA and NIMASA. You have the Shippers Council. You have the Nigeria Importer and Exporter. And you have the Authorized Dealer Bank. What I've counted now is about 10 agencies directly or indirectly involved in the export process. 10 of them. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. And for me, that's a challenge. And for me, that's a challenge. It is a challenge because of the effort put in and all that is involved. Sincerely, it is a big challenge. A big challenge. A big challenge. If you are going to interface with all these people, then you must know exactly what these agencies do. Then you must know exactly what you are going to be doing with them. Then you must know exactly the cost of interfacing with them. You must also know the challenge of corruption. The challenge of corruption. The challenge of corruption. I am basically saying that these agencies are huge. These agencies are much. This agency sincerely is not making import process in Nigeria efficient. If it was that this agency if it was that this agency are not just there to make money for the government, because sincerely most of them are there to make money for the government. And by the way, there are some other one I've not mentioned. I didn't even mention quarantine. I didn't mention quarantine. Maybe that will be under the regulatory agency, because there are so many regulatory agencies. Depending on the nature and the peculiarity of the item you are bringing into Nigeria. Depending on the nature and the peculiarity of the items that you are bringing into Nigeria. But there are different agencies. Different agencies. So, I mentioned the Central Bank of Nigeria. So what I want to do now is take them one by one. Central Bank of Nigeria is the regulator of banks and other financial institutions. The CBN also controls the availability and pricing of foreign exchange needed by importer to pay for their goods and services. The form that you need to fill to import into Nigeria, otherwise called the Form M, is also from the Central Bank of Nigeria. So Central Bank of Nigeria owns the form. Central Bank of Nigeria owns the form. Central Bank of Nigeria owns the form. And Central Bank of Nigeria control the FX. Central Bank of Nigeria control the FX. So you know what Central Bank does? If there is something Central Bank want to prevent from being imported, they lack the power of a fiscal policy that will increase tariff, reduce tariff, prohibit item, encourage item. But CBN used its own power by writing a circular, because all import is routed through the bank, and CBN controls the bank. CBN regulates the bank. CBN tells the bank what to do. So you know what happened? CBN simply tells them, you know what? You cannot do this. You can't import this one. You can't allow this one. So CBN, during the recession, in the bid to reduce our consumption of forex, which for me was a good initiative to encourage local industry, only that we are trying to conserve foreign exchange. We are trying to conserve foreign exchange. But the effort towards empowering the company to generate the foreign exchange, for me, is lacking. So, if I'm not increasing my earnings, I'm only reducing my expenditure. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. I might go bankrupt. I might go bankrupt. Because I'm not increasing my earning. I'm just reducing my expenditure. But the fact is I'm spending. I'm spending. Which is why CBN must be commended for the effort they made now to be ready to fund. Ready to fund export in Nigeria by giving them single-digit facility. Single-digit facility. So, if you want to import into Nigeria, or you want to export into Nigeria, you cannot wish away. You cannot wish away the agencies that controls this process. You cannot wish away the agencies that controls this process. It is so important. It is so critical. It is so important and also so critical for us to understand the role of this agency. I've been talking about central bank. Just 2 weeks ago, central bank came up with a new circular, less than 2 weeks actually, saying, initially it says it's not going to allow milk import. People criticized it and said, what? Why? You want our children to be malnourished? How much milk are you producing? We understand you have a good intention, but the implementation of that good intention is not good enough. Why? How much food are we producing? How much milk are we producing that we want to prohibit importation of milk? So CBN eventually allowed reason to prevail. CBN eventually allowed reason to prevail by saying, okay, fine. I will allow import of milk, but you are not going to import either by TT, by open account, by advance payment, by bill for collection. You must only do letter of credit. CBN basically says, I'm still going to use my power. I'm not going to stop it completely. I will only restrict, so that not just any Tom, Dick, and Harry can bring in this milk. So at least the large corporate will be only that the SME has been edged out. The large corporate will get the LC, but the SME has been hedged out. And you know the last what do you call it now? Survey that was done by the Smedan and MBS revealed that we now have about 40 million SMEs in Nigeria. 40 million. Now, if Smedan and MBS say we have 40, you and I know that means we have more than 40. That's the implication. Definitely, there are still some SMEs that are not captured because of the way they are run or structured. There are still some SMEs that are not captured. Clearly. Sony, you want buyer. What do you sell? What are you looking at selling in Nigeria? Sony, let me know what you sell. I can recommend if you will be able to get that buyer or you should look elsewhere. I'll be able to tell you if you will be able to get that buyer or you should look elsewhere. And then I will be discussing later on market entry strategy into Nigerian market. Imitation jewelry. Oh, jewelry is allowed. Jewelry is allowed to import into Nigeria. So I think you should just follow me. I'm going to be discussing maybe before the end of the month. This program holds every morning and evening. And before the end of the month, I will probably be discussing the entry strategy into Nigerian market. So I will be making recommendation on what I think anyone looking into enter Nigerian market can do to be able to have access into the Nigerian market. So I would strongly recommend that you please wait a little. I will strongly recommend that you please wait a little so that when I get there, I can have a comprehensive overview or what it takes for any business to get into the Nigerian market. What it takes for any business to get into the Nigerian market. I'll be talking about that. So please bear with me. Just give me some time. I will be able to assist with that. The whole essence of this program is to give a comprehensive overview of how a foreigner can access Nigerian market and how Nigerians can import into Nigerian market. So for example, Sony, one of the things you can do is to partner with a Nigerian. That's one of the options you can explore. And I will tell you how that will work. Which country are you from? Is it Singapore? I can see plus, let me check. Which country? India. Oh, you are in the US. Okay. But I saw the number 91. 91 is Indian code. So how come it's US? Is it 91 or 01? The number you drop. Is it 91 or 01? Kindly correct it if it's not correct. If it's 91, I'm checking online, is giving me India. I know 1 is the US, but yours is 91. The prefix of your number. Kindly correct it. But it's good I know if you are from the US. Oh, it's 91. Okay. But typically, is that the code? Anyway, it's possible you have 91 for your WhatsApp. And have your own number for the US. All right, let me move on. So I was discussing Central Bank of Nigeria as a major stakeholder in the trade environment, and I was talking about it for the US is doing a lot. Sorry, I said US. CBN is doing a lot to control. You know, CBN is in charge of Forex. And in any country, there is a limit to how much import you can do without having access to the country foreign exchange. In any country, there is a limit to how much import you can do without having access to the foreign exchange. So if you do not have access to foreign exchange, you are restricted on the quantum of import you can do. If you do not have access to foreign exchange, you are restricted on the quantum of import that you can do. You are restricted on the quantum of import that you can do if you do not have access to foreign exchange. So in this case now, you have access to foreign, you only have access to foreign exchange rather, from CBN, and CBN then have exchange control measures in place, giving bank directive on what they can do, what they cannot do, in terms of all of them revolve creatively, even though it lacks the power to be able to restrict import to Nigeria, but CBN has technically banned importation of some item, or at least reduce the level of importation of an item into Nigeria because of the interest of CBN in the growth of Nigerian economy. And someone must do this. Someone must do this because if you throw our door just open like that for anybody to come in, every Tom, Dick, and Harry will come in and they will mess up. They will mess up. They will mess up big time. They will mess up big time all that we are trying to do as a nation in terms of growing this economy. And they don't care. After all, you guys allow them. You guys allow them. So CBN have interfered with so many people in the past, and the governors have spoken about this, that look, some people just want to kill this economy. They don't love us. They just want to milk Nigeria and go back to their country. And he's saying, as long as I'm here, I'm sorry. As long as I'm here, going to happen. That's not going to happen. And some people are bent. Some people are bent. Very, very much bent. To ensure that at the end of the day, they make their money and elope and leave Nigeria in abject poverty. And leave Nigeria in abject poverty. And leave Nigeria in abject poverty. All right. As I round up this morning, I would like to still read through the list of the organization in the Nigerian trade environment that you must be conscious of. I'll go over them again. We have the Nigerian Police, NDLEA, National Food, Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, Central Bank, MPA, NIMASA. MPA is Nigerian Port Authority. NIMASA is Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. The Federal Ministry of Trade and Investment. Federal Ministry of Finance. Authorized Dealer Bank. Nigeria Importers. Custom License Agent. The Shipping Line. Import Permit Agencies. The Nigerian Customs Service. I've increased the list. I've increased the list. The Nigerian Customs Service. The Nigerian Customs Service. The Nigerian Customs Service. And I'm saying the success of your import into Nigeria depend on this agency. So you can understand the reason why I'll be spending a lot of time. You can understand the reason why I'll be spending a lot of time trying to help Nigerians and foreigners looking to enter Nigeria to make a sense of how to deal, work, and engage these agencies. Of how to deal, work, and engage these agencies. So I'll be spending a lot of time discussing that. There are about 14 of them, so that might take us maybe about 3-4 days. Some of them I can finish in a time, but like CBN, I need more time talking about CBN, so I dwelt only on CBN today, and I'll be talking about a lot of other agencies afterwards. But you know what? Nigeria has everything that a citizen needs to take advantage of the environment, but only that a few are holding the economy of the nation by the neck. And you know what? They are bent on ensuring that Nigeria does not achieve its objective. I often say that if foreigners come into this country and they're able to thrive, then Nigeria must do everything within its power to ensure that nothing stops itself from being thriving rather. Sincerely, I think so. Because you know what? This is our country, and we should be the one to enjoy the benefit. Why we don't chase the foreigner away, but we also ensure that at the end of the day, they don't come and just take advantage of everything while we just keep complaining and not doing anything about it. See you in the evening as I continue discussing the what, the why, and the how of import into Nigeria, of export to Nigeria, and I'm talking about understanding the trade environment. This morning I've spoken about CBN, and in the evening I'm talking about some other agencies. Thank you very much.